Neri yahod telefonu ho mirba ma sharachat nevish. Нас этого нету. Good evening, dear English without Borders followers, and good evening, dear friends. Good evening, dear English teachers and English students and others who are watching our regular Thursday webinars. Today, we are very happy to host a very young and enthusiastic English teacher, Laylo Rahimova, who has been working and volunteering with English Without Borders and who has just recently finished her English Without Border Master workshops. Today, Laylo will be talking about an effective lesson planning with the introduction of media literacy. So let me give you some brief information about Laylo before she starts her presentation. So Laylo Rahimova is a teacher of English, tutor, and the trainer at Dushanbe International School of Tajikistan. Laylo holds a bachelor degree in teaching English and translation. She's a trained trainer, qualified teacher, and teacher trainer with more than 8 years of teaching experience. She participated in the Fulbright TEA Media Literacy program to strengthen her professional skills, gain the knowledge needed to make a difference in her workplace and in the community at large. Her goal is to contribute to Tajik academic scholarship and to advocate for evidence-based educational policy development. She firmly believes that teachers as non-position leaders have a tremendous impact on society. Thank you, Laylo, very much for joining us on this wonderful platform, English Without Borders Thursday webinars. I hope that our audience will be actively participating and putting their questions in the chat box. Once Laylo will have finished her presentation, she will be answering your questions. So now, Laylo, please, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gulnuro. Once again, hello, my name is Laylo, and I'm very delighted to be here with all of you. And welcome to our webinar. The topic of our webinar is an effective lesson plan with introduction of media literacy. And before starting our presentation and the things that we are going to talk about, I would like to ask a question, dear teachers. You can write it on a chat, or if you are watching us on Facebook, on a place where is the comment is, what kind of lessons plannings you are doing, what you are including to your lessons, and how is the things that you think is more important to include to your lessons. Of course, I will read your comments and messages, and we will talk about it later. Lesson objectives, of course, very important thing. And Zuhro is also helping us today. Thank you, Zuhro. Warm up, video, PPT, pictures, very nice. And let's get started. Zuhro, next slide, please. So before planning our lessons, before everything that we need to do for our lessons, we need everyone. I mean, every teacher should know what is a lesson plan. So a lesson plan is a map, or we can call it instruction or a road map for every teacher on what the students need to learn and how it's going to be in the classroom. So having carefully and very detailed lesson plan help us to enter the classroom confidently, and another side, it helps us to have a very meaningful learning experience with our students. Why it's important to have a lesson plan? Next slide, please, Uro. Importance of having plannings. The first of all, lesson planning is help us to always be prepared. I think it's very important for every teacher to be prepared, because every time when you are entering the classroom, you should know what you are going to do, what topic you are going to teach your student, and what kind of activities, how much time you will spend telling the topic, writing, reading the text, or doing some kind of activities. So it will help us always be prepared before entering the classroom. And another thing is when something is not prepared, when you will see the topic for the first time, you will just be in a small shock that what kind of what I'm going to do with my students today. So another thing is being prepared helps. Yes, of course, it will help us focusing in our lessons and everything. And it will help us to make sure that do we know anything about that topic, because it's happening to us that when you don't know about that topic, you will just have time to be prepared for your next lesson, for your next week. So another thing is paths of success. Uh, for example, if you will just keep doing your daily plans and you will just documenting it, it will help you to just collect all the resources that you were doing for your lessons. And of course, when you will just sharing it with your you can just share it with your administration, supervisor, or academic coordinator, and it will just give you exactly ongoing picture of how you are teaching your students. And of course, you can just improve yourself, reflecting at the end of your lesson, sitting and discussing with yourself, what did I do? What kind of stuff I can do next lesson? So it's path for success. So the next thing is ability to create. So we are teachers, also we are artists, we are also designers. All of the planning lessons, doing activities, class management, everything is on us. So we have ability to create everything. I mean, we can plan our plans the way we want. Like, for example, what kind of activities I can do with my students. Of course, I believe that not all of the lesson plannings are same. They are different from each other, because of course teachers know what kind of student they have and what they should include to their lesson plan, so they students will learn and improve themselves. And the fourth important of having a planning is structure and reflect. How I say it, you can just go and check, like at the end of the lessons, you can just reflect on the things that you did, and you can just improve yourself. And the structure, the thing that we did, the detailed planning that we have will help us when we are not at school. And it's happening a lot that you can just have a problem or something else, or you are not able to be at school that day. And structured and detailed lesson plan will help the substitute teacher will teach to cover you the lesson that you are going to teach, because the thing that you plan to teach is clearly there, and the substitute teacher will not have a problem. So the structure is very important. And next slide, please, Zuhro. Let's talk about 10 elements and components of a good lesson plan. The first thing is title. It's on next slide, Zuhro. One more and one more, two more, yes. So title, the title of the lesson plan, I think it's very important one, because it will give the main idea of what we are going to teach. And for example, if you will think a lesson, if you will just divide the lesson in pieces, and when you just collect them, for example, activity part, like homework part, assessment part, and everything, if you will just collect them, you need to put for that collection a name. So the title of your planning is the main idea of what your lesson plan is. So for example, you can just put the title of your lesson plan around the world in 5 days. I mean, you will just give the idea of what you are going to do in your lesson. You will just go around the world in 5 days. And of course, you need to include in your title also subject of your lesson. For example, if the subject of your lesson is English, I believe that we have many lessons. For example, I am teaching maths, English, and science, so I need to put exactly the subject that I'm going to teach. So another thing is the grade level. Most of the teachers are not teaching only one grade. They are teaching like grade 5, 6, 7, or maybe the younger ones. So we need to know like what grade we are going to teach. And of course your name, because it will help when you are just giving it, how I say, to coordinator or someone else, your colleagues, or you will just share it with someone else. If it will have your name, that person will exactly know that this is your lesson plan. Next slide, please, Uro. Date. Very important thing in your lesson plans, because most of the times we have a topic that we will just divide it in a week. So we will just divide it in 5 parts. And sometimes it's happening that I teach a lesson today, but I didn't finish it. I didn't have time to finish all the things that I want to do. So the next day I'm planning to finish my lesson that didn't finish yesterday. So of course I can do it, but next day I need to just change the date, because most of the time like we are using the lesson plans that we were using the last year. We can do that, but changing the date, putting the date will, I mean, record everything that you are doing on time. Next slide, please. And objectives. Very important part, because with help of objectives you will find out that at the end of the lesson what the students will be able to do, or what have they learned about the topic that you teach them. And of course it needs to be specific, measurable, achievable, result focused, and time bound. I mean, at how much time you spend to teach them, and in how much time your students learn about the topic that you teach, and what did they achieve from your lesson, what the elements, the important things that they have learned from your lesson. For example, one of the objectives that I wrote, it was yesterday. Once students have finished an independent reading activity, they should be able to recommend the book that they read to other students. It means at the end of the lesson, when we did lesson independence reading activity, when they read a book, at the end of the lesson, they should be prepared. They should be able to recommend that book to another person. I mean, they achieve and they focus on that book that they already read. Next slide, please. Standards. I believe that every state, every country, every school, and every subject, it has their own standards. Standards is how well students learn what is set out in the content. Standards, often called the be able to do, or what students should know and be able to do, and specify how good is good enough. I mean, every student should know at the end of that quarter or that year the standard that ability that they need to have at the end of the year. And it will help teachers also make sure that what they learned while they were studying the topic and the lessons and the things that we all of them were studying all together. Next slide. Plan. So this is the body of your lesson. It's very important part because it has everything that is included in your lessons. For example, your plan should have a beginning, middle, and end. It's like you can just think that another thing like standards, objectives, title, date, and another thing is like, for example, they are just the title of the essay, and the plan is the whole essay that you will wrote about. I mean, not paragraphs that you are going to write. So it need to have a beginning, middle, and the end. It's, for example, if you will just will put introduction of the topic, you will just write, for example, the introduction of my topic will take 5 minutes, and I'm going to do going to introduce my lesson, my topic to my students, doing this activity, doing this kind of collaboration or game or something else. And every my lessons are starting with pre-assessment. I can call it introduction of my lesson. Every time when I'm starting my lesson, I'm just asking them. It's like a short quiz. It's like I call it pre-assessment, and I'm just asking them, what do you know about this lesson? What do you know about this topic? Or did you ever heard about this? So this will help me to know that what my students know about the topic, what ideas they have, and I will just will have a big imagination about my lesson. And the plan of your lesson should be well written in logical segmental order, because if you will just write in the beginning is like introduction, and next will come the assessment end of the lesson, or you will just write the introduction and then will come homework, it will not be logical, because you will not understand that I need to do the introduction and after that the homework. So if they will just will be written in a logical segmental order, it will be easier for you to understand what I should do next, what I'm going to do next. And of course, it should involve collaborations through your professional learning community. I think it's very, very important thing that every teacher should know, and I'm doing it all the time. Collaboration with our professional learning community, I mean other teachers, all of us are in a place where everyone is teaching, where everyone is thinking about education and improving of students' knowledge. So when you will just collaborate, when you will just share your plans of your lesson, or you will just share your plannings, they will know what you are doing, or you will just learn from them. It means like sharing ideas, sharing the knowledge you have, and you can just make your lessons more interesting. And the another important thing that your plan need to have is timing for activities, assessment, and homework. Because like sometimes it happens that most of the teachers are telling us that our lessons was not enough. The time that we had was not enough. We were like doing activities, assessments, and homework. And if you will just put timing for activities, for example 15 minutes, we are going to read the text and answer the question. So you will know exactly that 15 minutes you will spend on activity. And about the assessment is also very important, because at the end of my lesson, I will just assess my student with the knowledge that they gain today with assessment, like 5 minutes assessment and homework also. I believe that every homework should be presented before giving, because sometimes students are also asking, or parents are calling and telling that what we should do in what kind of homework we have. And if you will just put a space, put a time for presenting the homework, telling the homework, giving instruction for homework, it will help them to do homework, and they will not have any question for that. Next slide, please, Uhro. Assessments. It's also one of the important part for our lesson plans, because like at the end of the lesson, when you will just finish your topic, finish your lesson, you need to ask students what did they have learned, what was the lesson interesting, or another thing. So we can do assessments in two ways. One of them is student learning. It's like comprehension questions, short presentation, short quiz, write assignments, group activities. Like short presentation, you can just make a presentation about your lesson, about the topic you were taught, and you can just ask them about like what was telling in this place. You can just make a space, and they can just fill it with word or answer the question. And short quizzes also, you can just ask them 4 question or 5 question with the rubrics. You can just put a rubrics and give them some points. And written assignments also, they can write something, and for example the feedback, like they can just put a feedback of the thing that they have learned today. And group activity is also very useful assessment that I'm doing all the time. I'm dividing them in a groups, and they are just sitting and uh, like collaborating with each other, talking with each other, sharing ideas about what they have learned. For example, maybe some student just missed a place that another student was listening, so they can just share with each other, and you can just ask that group about a question at the beginning of the topic, or middle, or another part of your topic. So overall, lesson assessment is you will just leave a time at the end of the lesson for a feedbacks. For example, what do you think about this lesson? How was the lesson? What was interesting in this lesson? And another overall lesson assessment is putting a space to take notes on a lesson plan. Uh, I think it's normal to ask our students, what do you think we can add to our lessons to make it more interesting? Sometimes I'm also doing it. I'm asking them, what do you think? We are reading too much, or we are writing too much? Or we can ask them about maybe you want to hear something more, or you want to watch. So this will help us to make our lessons more interesting. Next slide, please. Homeworks, a very important part, because homeworks is give us the clear knowledge that the students gain in our lessons, and the homeworks must have exactly the things that you have learned, you have teach for your students. Because if you will just put information about something else, they will just go and search it. Of course they can find it, but if they will see the homework, the things that they have learned in their lessons, it will not be very difficult for them, and it will help them to just repeat the thing that you have learned and they have learned in the lesson. And of course, another thing that we need to think about the skills that our students have. For example, one of our students, if he's very like smart, he's very active, he's like doing everything that you are giving in a 10 minutes or 15 minutes, you can just give to that person like different homework. And of course, for students who are just falling ahead, you can just give them more easily things, because the topics that we are teaching them, they are, all of them are same, just they are just separated in a level. Like grade 1 also will just pass the topics that will pass the grade 2, but grade 2 will just pass it in a different way and more difficult. So you can just find from like last year resources that you have, or on internet, like easiest way of uh, homework that they can do. Next slide, please. Differentiation. I believe that every teacher are doing it, and in our lessons, it's also very important, because how I say it, like most of the people, most of our students are very gifted, and another student, maybe we have a student who has a problem, who students with disabilities. So differentiation in our lesson help us do the same work, teach the same work, but in different way. For example, one of the things that we can do for helping all of our students is pair work. Most of the time, you can just put them in a one place. For example, one student is more active, another one is just falling maybe ahead. So you can just put them together for if the active student will help another student to just be in the same way. Uh, Another thing that we can do while we can use the differentiation in our lesson is individual works. Individual works help us and helps students to do the things that they really can do. They will show the individual work will show the thing that they want to show us. I mean, the thing that the knowledge that they already gained in our lesson. And another thing is group work. Also, it's very helpful, because like group work, also they can just collaborate with each other. They can share ideas, and they can be like more active, like even students who are falling ahead. And of course, for students with disabilities, we can just do the lesson in a different way, help them to uh, know that they are also important, and they can also learn. And one thing that I believe, I read it somewhere, I forgot, the thing that was written there is every student can learn, but not in the same way. I mean, we are teachers, our work is to be more active, to do like the things that can help students to learn, of even if it's not in the same way, we can do it in like different way, but we can help them to learn and be more active in our lessons. Next slide, please. Materials. Uh, Another important thing that we should include in our lesson plans is also materials, because sometimes you need student handouts or textbooks or visual aids, grading rubrics, activity packets, computers, tablets, or even like radio or like a video. And if you will just include it in your lesson, you will never forget about that, because like uh, if you don't have a lesson plan, if you will just come and if you will remember that, oh, I need a computer for my lesson, I need an activity that activity packets or something else, you will just waste your time to go and finding it. And if you will just include materials in your lesson, you will clearly know, exactly know what you will need for your lessons. Next slide. Technology. All lessons do not have to include technology, because some of our lessons are reading, some of lessons, more of our lessons are writing parts. So of course, if you will just, if you will play a video or play a game, use a tablet, use platforms, or for example, clickers like Mentimeters, or puzzles for your students, you need to just include it in your lesson plan, because like you will exactly know, or if someone else will just come to your class, that person will exactly know what you are going to do. And another important thing that good part of lesson planning is that, for example, if teacher will come and it's written in your lesson plan that you need to play a video and you don't have a link on it, so what the teacher is going to do, so it will make your work more, because you need to come back and you need to do that lesson again. So it's like waste of the time. If you are just including technology and everything that we talk about in your lessons, it will be more detailed for every teacher and for ourselves, also for our administration, supervisors, academic coordinators, and so on. And another important thing that we can include, I think we need to include in our lessons, is media literacy. So media literacy is very important in our life. Because like we are calling our century information century. So if we are not including media, we are not including information, it means just we are just falling ahead of the century that we have, and our students also will be ahead of everything that is going on in the world. So media literacy, I think, is very important and one of the important parts of every lesson. Next slide, please. So what is media literacy? Uh, Media literacy is the thing that we can see it everywhere nowadays. Everywhere we can see media. For example, our phone, television, radio, tablet, social media, news, advertisement, journals, games, notebooks. Even the notebooks, if you will just turn it, and at the back of that notebook, you can see that it's written at the end of the notebook. It's like advertisement information about the company that like uh, uh, providing us uh, that notebook. It means they are just giving us information. So that information is media. So what is media literacy and how can this impact our students? And what are the best ways to share media with my students? Before that, we need to teach our students that media literacy will help them to analyze, understand, and express their views about the media, about the news, about the videos that they are looking, and about everything that they are listening, watching, playing, or reading. And before that, I think every teacher should be literated, media literated by itself. I think it's very interesting thing that we can just include to our lessons. And what are the best ways to share media with my students? One of the best ways that I think is important and very interesting to our students is historical things, historical videos. For example, if you are just teaching them the topic and you can just find information or video or newspaper or old newspaper or another thing that was written, shared, posted before many years ago, and you can just play for them, read for them, give for them. They can read, they can watch, they can see, they can hear that, and they can find out, they can analyze about differentiation and the differences between the topic that was before and now the changes that happened now. Uh, Another way of teaching media for our student is like the information that is given in our books. They can just you can just tell them to go to internet and check, and they can find many information about that. That is also teaching them media, and they can just analyze it, understand it differently, and they can learn and more information about that things. And the skills that they can learn from this is thinking critically. uh, Conclusion, I mean, it's like thinking critically. The thing that they were studying in your lesson, they can just find out how I say it, more information, as they can think critically, like what if the news were from another side, what if I will just go and check it. And another thing is conclusion. Conclusion, it means like in every lesson that you are including media, they can sit at the end and give you conclusion about it. What is different between the things that you are reading from a book and what is different from the thing that you showed them. They watch a video or another thing. And another skills that they can gain from you when you are teaching media literacy is create media responsibility, because like maybe they will just share information, the thing, information that they are not confident about, that like, or they are not sure is that information is correctly, or that information is just fake. So you will just teach them to gain a skill that they will understand, and they will just be responsible of what they are posting or telling or sharing the information. And another thing, skill is understanding the author. I mean, they will just understand why this message, why this topic, why this video was sent, and they will be more media literate. And very important skill that they can gain from you is taking charge before going to internet, before checking the news, checking the video, checking the advertisement, checking the journals, checking everything that is on internet or somewhere else. They are more charged. I mean, they already know that what they need to believe, they need to learn, and that will make them to be more active, more open-minded in this world, because this world is a digital world. So they need to know more about the media literacy. Next slide, please. All teachers should try to instill career-ready practices to prepare students in life. I believe that everything that we are teaching in our lessons at schools, universities, and in other places, all of them are for students to be more prepared for their life. So if we will just include like real problems, real practices, real examples of our life or other lives in our lessons, they will just be it's going to be more interesting for them, and they will be prepared more for their future life. Next slide. Okay, question to ask when teaching kids media literacy. Before teaching our students about the media literacy, you can just read this question and you can just be more prepared for your lesson. The first question that you can ask yourself before asking your students is who created this? I mean, if you will just find a video without knowing who is the creator of this video, and you will just show it to your student, of course they will understand it. But if you will just know about the creator of this video, it will be more interesting and more detailed for yourself. The second question that you can ask yourself, why did they make it, like what? And you can just ask your student. For example, you will just put a video, they will just watch it, and at the end you can just ask 5 questions. It's not all about all about the video. You can use it everywhere, reading the text, like writing essays, like doing activities, or and so on. You can just ask them, why did they make it? Why did they make this? Why did they send us this? Why did they make this video? What they want us to hear or learn from them? Third question is, who is the message for? And I believe that every message, every video, every topic, and everything that is included to media is it has their own audience. It's like that message is created for someone. For example, for those who needs like pills, medications, or medical stuff. Of course, doctor will make a special message for them. For teachers also, you can just go and find many free things, many useful things that is message only for teachers. And the fourth question is, what techniques are used to make this message credible or believable? What they use to make us believe this video. Maybe they include the facts, or maybe they include the examples, experience of someone, so that message is credible and believable. And fifth question that you can ask yourself and your students is, how did the message make you feel? Of course, everything that we are watching, everything that we are reading, and everything that we are just hearing from someone or hearing from radio or somewhere, that message at the end will make us feel like differently. Of course, if you will hear about the happy thing, after that we will just get happy, or another thing, like maybe if you will see someone is crying, or if you will just put a sad video for your student, at the end they will just change their feeling. It will just change automatically. And I can give you example of media message that make change many opinions. It's like, if you will just remember, it was like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. It was a banana like message for everyone. Everyone was telling that inside the banana you can find a spider. And that days, believe me, I was like going around and showing that, like watching to people and like realizing that everyone believes that and no one was buying that banana. But I mean, like it shows that media is impacting of everyone, and even ourselves, our students. So we should be ready for everything that will give us the digital life. Next slide, please. And one of the examples of the lessons that I'm most of the time I'm doing with my lesson with my students, it's especially for secondary students, grade 9, 10, 11. I just want you to watch a video and write your opinion about this video, why this, and you can just ask yourself that five question: who created this? Why was this video was sent, and what this video make us feel, and what we can just gain from this video.
My name is Cameron Caskey. I am 18 years old now. After a horrible tragedy at my school, my friends and I came together to try to change the narrative of school shootings.
Our job is to protect our country, and if our elected officials aren't doing it, we have to step up.
So we came together and started a movement that was very much mobilized by social media. We were tweeting out a lot. We were using our Instagram to connect with other people and show them our messaging in a really accessible way. We didn't really plan to do a social media-based movement. We planned to do a movement, and we didn't even think about what it was like to base it in social media, because that's just how we interact with each other. And it was hard. And over the course of the year, we have been harassed online. I received countless death threats. I received very lewd images in my Instagram direct messages. We were attacked like adults, but we were not defended like kids. I have personally said things online that I'm sure I'll look at as an adult and not be very thrilled about. And a lot of us learned a lot about how we interact with each other in social media. There are a lot of things about the Parkland movement that I think are amazing, and a lot of things I regret. But one thing I can tell you that is my point of pride after all of this is that people don't remember Parkland as the city that was destroyed. People remember Parkland as the city that was strong and brave enough to stand up and say, we are not going to let you get away with another one of these. The one lesson I wish I had learned before all of this started was that the internet, while it's not real life, is becoming a part of it. It's all about remembering that the social media exists to supplement personal connections and not replace them. Behind every single account on Twitter, unless they're a bot, there's a human being typing. And that person might not realize just who they're interacting with. So you feel like it doesn't mean anything, and you feel like the people who see your comments aren't affected by it. We are now a part of this large ocean of connection, and it's now our job to be responsible. We need to hold ourselves accountable so somebody else doesn't do it for us. I used to look down on people. I put myself on a pedestal, and I encouraged a lot of my friends to do it as well. I treated people who disagreed with me like they weren't as good human beings as I was. I did a town hall debate at CNN. Emotions were high, and just a week ago, people that I loved were killed. I went up and asked my Senator, Marco Rubio, if he would stop taking money from the NRA.
Can you tell me right now that you will not accept a single donation from the NRA in the future?
And I wish I had stopped it there, but before that, I compared him to the likeness of the shooter from my school. I became part of the problem because I went up there on that debate to make another human being look bad as a human being and not as a politician. Because I wanted to go up there and embarrass him. I wanted to ruin his career. I did not do that to benefit the conversation. I did not do that to benefit our discourse as human beings. I did that to make another person look bad. I learned a lesson from it, and I'm thrilled that we went out there, and I'm thrilled that we were able to make this conversation such a national topic. But at the end of the day, I'm never going to do something like that again. That's where we can stop this. We had counter-protesters at all our events who were the same people who were commenting these awful things in our social media posts. When we broke the wall, when we simply just spoke to them and we became humans interacting with other humans, things changed. I was in Texas this summer. I met a man who came up to me, shook my hand and said, "I went after you on Twitter a lot this year. I said some nasty things about you on the internet. But the fact that you're coming up here to this counter protest really taught me something, because I didn't know that you kids were interested in approaching this like people." He introduced me to his wife and kids, who were all out there protesting us as well. And they said they don't know if they want to do this again, because when we came up and connected with them, it changed the way they look at it. That left me floored. And that's why it's so important to look at people who disagree with you like other human beings. When people disagree with you on political issues, you have to remember that approaching them like this is your enemy, it's not going to do anything for you. You have to approach everybody in bitterly social and political situations like they're part of the same world that you are. Approach a bitterly partisan topic, but come from a place where you want to learn. You learn the most from the people who disagree with you. I'm not speaking about any specific issues, but be ready to learn something. Assume that every single person you speak to knows something that you don't, because it's true. Remember that the best thing you can do as a human being is lift another person up, not knock them down. I think you're allowed to criticize my messaging without criticizing my character or who I am. These are emotional topics because they affect us. A lot of kids like me and like you believe what we believe because of our upbringing. That's okay. It's how we were raised. It's part of our character. I used to not understand how someone could disagree with me. But be ready to change people's hearts, be ready to change people's minds, and be open to changing your mind.
So I think I can check the chat. Okay, I'm sure it will be. Okay, so this is one of the activities that most of the time I was using, and I'm planning to use it with my students, because like not all the time you know that who is staying at the back of the screen, and they can write everything that they want, but you can just sit and think that that person is also a human being, and that person can also just give us the opinion. And I think this is very important for secondary students, for secondary grade 9, 10, 11s, because like they are more they have feelings, the news and the words from others affecting them more from others. So you can just play a game or make some kind of topics. For example, you will just write the topic on a board and you will just tell them to give their opinions. Of course, you will just put them in a groups. Of course, I believe that not all of the opinions and ideas will be same. So you will just teach them to respect others' opinions. And because this is the civil discourse, and it will help us to be prepared every time, everywhere. So if you have any questions regarding this video, you can ask.
Thank you, Laylo. If
You're
you have
welcome.
finished your presentation on the whole topic, I think we can have now time for the question and answer session.
Of course.
So yeah, if our participants and attendees have any questions regarding the lesson planning, the media literacy presentation, and just the video, please, it's now time to ask your question to Laylo. So I think, yes, we have got several questions, and I will be reading those to you. How much time does it take for you on average to write a lesson plan?
most of the time I'm like planning for a whole week. Like for example, the things that I'm gonna do next week. How I said before, the topic maybe it will be the same, but I need to divide it in 5 days or 4 days. If I'm teaching that subject for 3 lessons, I need to divide it in 3 lessons. So all the time I'm making for a whole week. So it taking 2 hours mostly to prepare everything, because like I'm including everything there.
So, Laylo, when you say everything, what do you mean?
I mean, the title of that, objective of my lessons, the activities that I'm going to do with my students, assessments, pre-assessments, homeworks, I'm preparing worksheets. I am like looking, is there enough information on my book that I can give them? If that is not enough, I'm just looking in other resources to like make it more interesting. And like not all the time all of topics has enough information.
So, does it all go to this 2-hour lesson planning, or it's something you do before you plan and then you search before, or it's included? You said 2 hours. Is it included everything here, or
It's including everything, because like I just got used to do like maybe it's also personality, because like I am the one who is always writing exactly the thing that I'm doing, even not my teaching, even another thing. Like I have a list of the things that I'm going to do, and my lessons also like all the time the same. And I'm like when you will just start doing it, maybe now it will look difficult, but when you will just start doing it, it's not difficult. It will just make you feel more confident about the things that you are going to teach.
Yeah, I think you have already answered Mihri's question, who asked, is it important to write a lesson plan for every lesson? And you said that you do it for every lesson.
Yes,
because
of course,
feel
of course,
comfortable when you go to your class, right?
of course.
Okay, so we have a question regarding the media literacy. What resources or platforms do you use or you recommend for using the media literacy activities in the class?
Most of the time, I'm just going through the internet and I'm like searching for media literacy for education, and it will give me 1,000 of course free resources, and platforms for most of the places. It's especially for schools, especially for students, especially for kindergarten, especially for key 1 to 12 students. So I will just go through and I will just look after the resources, and if I will find and if I will think that that resources is will make a benefit for my students, I will just use it. Most of the time from internet.
Thank you. So you mentioned and you shared from your experience that for you writing a lesson plan is not something difficult. On the contrary, you really enjoy doing that, right? So a question from Fernando: why do so many teachers have such a hard time to write a lesson plan? What can they do about this?
I think it's like when you love the work that you are doing, I think the lesson plan is like a receipt of cooking a cake. For example, if I will think about making a cake, but I don't know what I should do the first, what I should the next, how can I just cook my cake? So before that, I need to have a list of what I'm going to do first and second, and the lesson planning for me is the same. Like it will you maybe some of you will think that it will make more difficult the thing that we are doing, but it's making it easier, because will not just go around and look for resources or look for a thing that you should do now. You are already prepared, you have your lesson plan, and it's very easy. You will just sit and just teach your student and do your activity and so on.
Thank you. So another question do you include multiple options for personalizing learning throughout the lesson or throughout the unit? So, do you include any activities that bring to our personalization of the whole learning?
Not all the time, because like sometimes it's happening that when you will just include like that kind of activities, that person like just don't want to participate on that activity or something else. So not all the time. I'm just preparing activity that will be like more comfortable for each of my students. Like it's not very difficult, it's not very easy, the normal one, of course, but sometimes if some of my students will need direction or instruction or help from me, I can help them also.
Thank you, Laylo. Next
You're
question is,
welcome.
what are the language skills where we can integrate activities for developing media literacy?
Language skills.
Yes, like you integrate activities like reading, writing, listening, speaking for using media literacy and developing media literacy. What language skills do you mostly use and you can integrate, yes, in your activities so that you don't only practice like reading, there is simultaneously practice writing, speaking, listening?
Like language skills, like most of the time I'm not I don't need it, because like our school is English school, so everyone is speaking in English. Sometimes no need to like use the language skills in our lessons, but I can tell you like language skills, you can just I mean find out the activities that include that skills for improving their language. I mean, for example, the activity that can like, you can just show them how most of the country has a dialectics. So what kind of dialectics that country has. So it will be language skills for them, and it will be like media literacy for them, and it will improve both sides for them.
Thank you. So we have an interesting question from Mehri. She's saying that once you become a good cook, you don't really need a recipe, right? You already know how to cook. You don't need to write it down. So, and if you become an experienced teacher, is it still important to write a lesson plan, or you can have just here in your kind of mind lesson plan?
I believe that we are teachers, lifelong students. Like the world is going on, just it's not going back, so it's forward.
I think we have lost our presenter Laylo, but I think in teaching, even though you become really experienced, lesson planning is still important to be on the safe side. And okay, yes, I was just yeah, answering the question so that yeah,
like
yes,
we are lifelong students, so it's like I think we never need to stop, because like world is changing, students are changing, the way that they are learning is changing, so everything is changing very in a very high speed, so we need to catch that. So like of course being a good cooker is good, but you can just change it, like you can just make another cake. So if you want to make another cake, you will just, of course you will go and find for another recipe.
yes, I absolutely agree, because with writing your lesson plan every time you discover something new, and it's also part of your learning process. It's just
Of
the
course.
reflection, like we have before reflection, we have during, and we have after our lesson. Lesson plan also has these stages, pre, during, and before, and every time we reflect. And if we reflect and don't write it somewhere, then we forget it. That's why when you did something, when you planned something and it didn't go well, or it didn't go the way that you had planned it, then you reflect on it, and the next time when you start writing, you of course you will consider what didn't go well in your previous lesson. So there's another question: when to introduce media in EFL classes? Do we need separate media classes, or you can integrate it in any subjects?
Of course, you can just include it in any lesson, like integrate it in every lesson. Somewhere where is you will need somewhere information from somewhere. You will need, of course, especially for grade 5, I think, like they need to watch some videos, they need to know more information, because like most of the time grade 5 students, they are just believing everything that we are teaching. Like others are grade like 7, 8, 9, or 11. They can go and search for another information, but grade 5 will just sit and listen to everything that we are going to teach. So we can include media literacy, and I think it's very important to start from a young age, so they will become more charged, have I said, for digital life that they are going to have.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I think it's already time. Yes, we need to wrap up. We had an interesting time with you, Laylo. You have
Thank you
presented
very
a
much.
really detailed lesson plan. So many other things that we may have not thought before of. You have talked about that, and also you have given us some really nice recommendations for how to integrate the media literacy component in our lesson planning. We really enjoyed the time and really enjoyed your presentation. Thank you so much. I think the same did our audience. So we will all see in our next webinar next Thursday. Thank you, everyone, and bye-bye.